Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dato here, coming at you live with breaking news in the NHL this afternoon as Taylor Hall has been traded from the Boston Bruins to the Chicago Blackhawks. 2 days before the Blackhawks have even drafted Connor Bedard, the Bedard effect is in full force as Taylor Hall, with 2 years left at $6 million, a very capable top six winger, will go to a team that previously had who? Athanasiou, Lucas Reichel. They didn't have many options for Connor Bedard. So not only will this help Connor Bedard in his development, but I'm sure that is going to raise the stock of Taylor Hall, who found himself in kind of like the middle six of the Bruins team, sometimes even on the third line. We're now finding out that Nick Foligno will also be going to Chicago with Taylor Hall. So the Bruins are going to be dumping some money here. Very interesting that they're not just doing a hockey deal where, listen, we have an abundance, you want to give us something, that's great. They're also getting to dump some salary with Nick Foligno and Taylor Hall on their way out. This allows the Bruins to have a lot more flexibility. So let's hop over to the Bruins right away. Let's look over at Cap Friendly. They don't have a lot of picks to play with, so hopefully they can bring something back and help to stock the cupboards a little bit. They have no firsts or seconds this year or next year. If you're joining us live, be sure to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe for ongoing breaking news and analysis this NHL offseason and much more on the channel. Take a second to check it out. We'd love to have you. As we can see, the Bruins right now have, with Foligno and Hall still on the team, they have $4.95 million to play with. So $5 million, add another $6 million from Taylor Hall, huge right there. He had a modified no trade clause. Chicago was not a part of it. He will be able to go there without having to be asked to waive his no trade clause. Taylor Hall removes $6 million right there. And Nick Foligno, maybe, he was UFA rights anyways, so perhaps I said dumping more money. It's more looking forward. He would have cost 1, 2, 1.5, 1.8. So it's not really dumping money now. You're just dumping $6 million, but you're also dumping the money that it would have cost to sign Nick Foligno as well, depending on who comes back as well. If you're getting a player who is on a cheap contract, who you can do something with while bringing something else, that is a lot of value in and of itself, unless it's just a draft pick. I would think we're leaning draft pick here. Chicago doesn't have much to give up, nor are they really in a position to give up very much. As we see, Tyler Johnson has one more year. Who is going to play with Connor Bedard? Athanasiou on his left, Dickinson on his right? I don't know, right? Full trade, we do not know the full trade just yet. It's sounding right now like Nick Foligno and Taylor Hall to the Chicago Blackhawks, just those two pieces. Coming back the other way from Chicago, we don't know yet. Let me give it a little refresh here. Let's see if the insiders have anything to say on Twitter. After clearing some much-needed cap space, it would not surprise me to see if the Bruins take a run at re-signing pending UFA Tyler Bertuzzi. So that's a big move right there. They definitely wanted Bertuzzi back. He looked good in his show with the Bruins since he was picked up from the Red Wings. So that will now allow the Bruins to go after Tyler Bertuzzi. So it may not even be going after some big names. It may just be re-signing the players that they did have to go on this run, running it back with the same team that won so many games as they did, right? So 2 years left at $6 million. Taylor Hall is going to be rejuvenated a little bit on a very bad team for sure. But 2 years with Taylor Hall, I think that's going to be very valuable. Let's bring up the numbers quickly on Taylor Hall. Thank you, Jack. Let me know whenever you see something. Let's bring up the numbers on Taylor Hall. Let's see what we can see over the last few years. As we know, it hasn't been the greatest run for him the last few years. Taylor Hall, let's see what we got. 71st percentile. So as you can see, the last couple seasons, big jump. I think it's just that, as you can see, time on ice, third liner, his utilization has changed, which has made him kind of, he's able to do what he wants to do or can do without having to have as much pressure on top of him. So if we look at the points right here, Taylor Hall, when he first came to Boston, 14 points in 16 games, amazing. Last year, 61 points in 81 games, very, very good. Last year, 36 and 61. That was definitely a step back as he moved into a third line role. That would have been an 82 game pace of 48 points, which would have been a big step back from what he was doing in his first season or even first couple of years there. But he's shown himself to do such great things. 80 points on the Oilers, 90 points on the Devils, close to point per game on the Coyotes, really lacking goals in Buffalo, but still had the points, 19 and 37. Since he came to Boston, 20 goals, 40 assists, that's great. Give him another 20 goals, 40 assists type of season, but with Connor Bedard, give him first line minutes, give him the reins to do whatever he has to do. I think Taylor Hall is going to feast And the Bruins did I think they made a smart move here, because although Taylor Hall, they're probably not going to get the value that they gave up to get him when they actually, they didn't trade that much to get him, but no salary retained per Frank Saravalli. Thank you very much. They only gave up a second round pick, right? And Anders Bjork. So what I mean to say is they're not going to get what they could get if he was at his ultimate value, his highest value of his career, but they are still going to be getting value instead of burying him on the third line. Go ahead and get value. So full trade so far is to the Bruins. It's going to be the RFA rights to Ian Mitchell and Alec Regula in exchange for Taylor Hall, and the UFA rights to Nick Foligno. So no money is retained. It's a pure cap dump for the Bruins. And in exchange, they get the RFA rights to 2 separate players. Let's go ahead and pull up those players right now. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the screen just to get to some of you now. Let's see what some people have to say over here. Shannon was a Hall fan, holding disappointment until we're done juggling. Foligno needed to go, worth the cap space, but Shannon really liked him. Uruguay present. Let's go. Welcome. Get a chocho. We're live, buddy. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to pull up the numbers quickly on the Ian Mitchell and Alec Regula. Regula was in the Sharks organization, I believe. We'll pull up their numbers. We'll go back to the J Fresh card. We'll break it all down now that we have the full trade. Alec Regula he was part of the Detroit organization. Yes. I must be thinking of someone else. While Ian Mitchell, let's pull up his numbers. Let me see here. 2 young players as well. It's not like it's purely just roster pieces. These are young guys who were high-ish draft picks. So the Bruins do get value back, absolutely. I'm a Blackhawks fan. It helps my team. I would say so, Captain Blackhawks. I would say it does help your team very, very much. And it doesn't cost a lot to do it. You give Connor Bedard his guy, and you don't have to give up a ton to do it. Full trade for anyone who has missed it. The Chicago Blackhawks have acquired Taylor Hall, 2 more years at $6 million, and the UFA rights to Nick Foligno in exchange for the RFA rights to 2 of their prospects, Ian Mitchell and Alec Regula. Ian Mitchell was a second-round pick in 2017. He had 82 games of NHL experience, scoring just 16 points, obviously not having a ton of ice time to go along with it. An alumnus of U of Denver. In the AHL, he had only 6 points in 5 games. Well, 6 points in only 5 games. In the NHL, 8 points in 35 this past year. The year prior, 35 points in 57 games. He is a defenseman, though, so keep that in mind. Actually, I totally forgot he's a defenseman. So point per game and 35 and 57, yeah. So 16 and 82 is fine. My apologies. I didn't even realize that Ian Mitchell was a defenseman. Alec Regula is also a defenseman. He has 22 games of NHL experience, scoring just 1 goal. And this past season in Rockford, 21 points in 51 games. A former third-round pick in 2018 by the Red Wings, who they acquired from Detroit, Chicago, in exchange for Brendan Perlini. So let's go back to what some of you have to say here in the chat. Probably the biggest trade of the offseason so far. Big trade for the Hawks. Bedard gets his guy for the next couple seasons. The Bruins are getting 2 young players from our team to the Bruins. Wish them luck in the future, in their future endeavors. Thank you, Michael. Dabrowskiego, also, 100% a Chicago W. They have the cap and the potential. Probably Bedard told them to get some wingers ready so we can dish to them and be insane. Yeah, come on. We need somebody out here. Connor Bedard needs somebody. Jay Birdie's in here. I think Boston did a great job. I definitely say it's a Chicago dub, just in terms of who gets more of what they needed. But the Bruins did not lose this trade, just that the Chicago Blackhawks really got what they needed. They didn't fleece. They didn't take advantage. Maybe they took advantage of the Bruins needing money, but the Bruins did not lose this trade. They're getting what they need, which is cap space to re-sign the guys they want. And the Blackhawks get someone to play first line with Taylor Hall, with Connor Bedard for the next 2 years, and they can get to the cap floor, right? They have tons of cap space. They need players, just bodies. They have 37 million out, 37.5 million. So they need people who are on contracts, right? So I like what they did. Could there have been picks involved? The 3 and 5Z says fire Sweeney. We should have gotten picks. Should they have gotten picks out of it? Maybe. The Blackhawks have a lot of picks to burn, but at the same time, it's not just a player in exchange for prospects. It's a player who was costing the Bruins more than they could afford at $6 million, and they needed to move on from him. He had the modified no trade clause. He had 2 more years at $6 million. Chicago seemingly not on that list. So let's bring up I see a lot of comments coming in. So let me get back to the comments. Let me go back over here. Tristan, let's see what Tristan has to say. Tristan says, let me pull it up. Horrible move by Boston. I'm a Bruins fan. Don't know what Sweeney was thinking. 2 horrible draft busts. We don't need defense. Clifton and Grizzly do the job. Now, I don't disagree with, listen, the return is not amazing. I'm not disagreeing with you that the return is not great. But I do have to say, the Bruins really want to bring back the players that they had to go on this run in 2022-23. They did not have the money to re-sign Tyler Bertuzzi, maybe even Patrice Bergeron, maybe David Krejci. Grizzly is going to be a UFA after this next season, because don't just think this next year. Taylor Hall was signed into, he's still here, he's signed into 2024-25. They need to free up money long-term as well to sign their other pieces that they want to keep beyond this season, like Jeremy Swayman as well. They had only $5 million to deal with Bergeron, Bertuzzi, Swayman. So moving out $6 million has a ton of value in and of itself, even though they don't get the flashiest names back. So there are my thoughts on that, Michael. I think that it is definitely it's a Chicago win, but it's not a Boston loss, I don't think. Now, granted, maybe if you still miss out on Bertuzzi and all the guys you want to re-sign go to unrestricted free agency, then yes, you traded away your money. You moved away that money possibly for nothing. But if they can re-sign those players, then I think it's going to be a fine move. Not just this season, but again, let's think about 2024-25. That's another $6 million. Is Hall going to score 60-plus points next year? I would say definitely he's scoring 60-plus points. Again, let's pull up the numbers on Taylor Hall. He is only 1 season removed from scoring 61 in 81. And before that, he was doing injury-shortened seasons, but 37 and 33, 25 and 30. Then goes to the Coyotes, 27 and 35. Sabres, 19 and 37, scoring 90 points, 40 goals with the Devils. This guy can do it. Connor Bedard still has to grow. He's not McDavid just yet, but give him a couple years on his wing with a chance to maybe extend further. I think he's going to feast. I do think that he's going to feast. Let's keep scrolling here. Yeah, he does have injury problems. Again, even if he gets injured, Chicago just needs money. They just need money on their team to be able to keep all these contracts, to keep the lights on, right? Who's Chicago's best right winger at the moment? Probably Athanasiou, right? If we pull it up here, I don't see anyone really on the right wing. Taylor Radish, that's about it, eh? I think, well, they could move people around, like Dickinson could probably play on the right. Lucas Reichel could probably play out there as well. But yeah, they need bodies. They just need bodies. Tristan here, you're right, could be a good move in the long term. Expecting a signing later today or tomorrow. Yeah, I could see that for the Bruins organization. Absolutely. What do you think? What do you think of the trade? Do you think it's a good trade? I'm wondering your opinion. Yeah, I think, as I said, I think it's a Chicago win, but it's not a Boston loss. Chicago gets more out of it, but the Bruins definitely get things that help them in this deal as well. Bedard will be the second Bedard the Hawks will get if they draft him. That's true. There's other Bedards in the organization. Let's see. Hobbsy says this was probably a situation where Boston valued Bertuzzi over Hall, and they moved money to make that work. Yeah, simple enough. Could Chicago sign Foligno? I think they're interested in Foligno for sure. I don't think, because he was a UFA, the Bruins could have just let him walk for no cost. So I think the Blackhawks are actually interested in him. Yeah, I would say that. So let's go ahead and pull up a few more numbers here. Let's go back to the J Fresh card. So Taylor Hall, as we see the last couple of years, his wins above replacement percentile has definitely grown. So that's a lot of value in and of itself in the last couple of years. Don't think about the year before in Buffalo or Arizona. Try not to think about that as much. His value defensively has also grown quite a bit. His even strength offense is among some of the best in the league. Primary assists per 60. When you think of Taylor Hall, maybe you're thinking of a guy who has scored 30, 40 goals, but he has been a great playmaker as of late. 20 goal, 40 assist guy. Appreciate that. Captain Blackhawks, new subscriber. Appreciate that, my friend. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We have breaking news and analysis as it happens. The NHL draft is on its way. We have a lot of coverage this offseason. He draws a lot of penalties. He plays against high levels of competition. His finishing is very low. It's very surprising to see such a low finishing percentile with such a high even strength percentile. So that's pretty odd, I find. But yes, Taylor Hall to the Blackhawks. So Taylor Hall is looking good. I like this card for him very much. I don't think there's much else to look at. We could look at Nick Foligno. Why not? We don't know if he's going to re-sign or not, but let's check it out. Nick Foligno, not going to have the craziest card, I don't think. 33rd percentile. He's good. He's great defensively. 93rd percentile of even strength defense over the last 3 years, according to the weighted average data. Do you think the Blackhawks will trade for any other players to add to their roster? For sure. I think so. They need to get bodies in there. They'll be happy to take on money, cap dumps, get more picks and prospects. And $1.99 from Dabrowski. Thanks for the donation, buddy. Appreciate that. Nick Foligno is going to be he's the perfect type of Chicago piece, a guy who's going to get a lot of money. When I think of guys like that, I think of Derek Stepan, who made $6 million with the Coyotes. Derek Stepan got paid $6 million just to be a body in Arizona. So Nick Foligno, if he goes to free agency or stays in Boston, he's getting like league minimum 1 million, 1.5, 1.8. I don't know, something in that range. Who knows where he would land? But in Chicago, maybe now he gets 3.5. Who knows what? So there we go. Now let's look at the two prospects. Very limited NHL experience, so there's not much to see. If we go to look at the defense cards, my hockey team, Les Canadiens de Montréal, the Montreal Canadiens. But I would describe myself as a hockey fan. My allegiance is to the Canadiens. No Ian Mitchell. But I'm happy to. I love all teams. Alec Regula, this is very small sample size, but in what he's shown, he's been strong enough defensively, so at least that's good, but obviously not in the actual 61st percentile for goals per 60 and 70th percentile for finishing, just a bit higher due to the small sample size. I believe there might be a more recent Jay Fresh card for Ian Mitchell from Jay Fresh himself. I haven't refreshed Twitter in a little while. 19 new tweets. Pierre-Luc Dubois to the Kings, it's possible. It's looking like that. I'd say it's leaning that way. So yeah, Taylor Hall, we already looked at his numbers. This is the slightly more updated numbers from Jay Fresh. As you can see on my card that I had for Taylor Hall, looking at it right here. This is, sorry, let me just bring up Taylor Hall again. Taylor Hall, there we go. Taylor Hall, we see 96th percentile, all that good stuff. It's 3-year weighted, 1920, 2021, 21 to 23. Meanwhile, this is 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23. So the numbers are slightly different. I don't think it really makes a huge difference to look at the two. His numbers have gone slightly lower in this more updated card. So that's okay. I still think what I showed is still reflective of Taylor Hall, but here are numbers a bit more recent. The defense has gone down a bit more than this card has, but still, yeah, Taylor Hall is a very valuable piece, I think, for the Blackhawks. Meanwhile, Nick Foligno, as we already see, veteran bottom six defensive forward, bit of a finishing spike this year, but he belongs in a shutdown role. Ian Mitchell, yeah, there was basically nothing to show on him. The zeroth percentile. One of the roughly 1,000 best hockey players in the world. Good for him. He made it. I think Tarasenko and Kane, I think they'd probably both hit the market in New York, I'd have to say. So Taylor Hall, veteran playmaking winger who uses his speed and passing skill to create scoring chances, but isn't especially good at finishing his own opportunities. The finishing goes a bit higher than what I had in the older card. But yeah, there's the lowdown on Taylor Hall, Nick Foligno, Ian Mitchell. Not much else to show, I don't believe, over in the Twitter world. No, that looks about it. Feel bad for Taylor Hall. Just wants to play playoff hockey, and now he goes to Chicago. It's odd that it wasn't the Blackhawks weren't on his no trade list. True, yeah, Regula does have some offensive upside and is a right-handed shot, as we see in his numbers right here. He scored 26 and 41 in the AHL. That's a valuable thing to have as a right-handed shot. But Ian Mitchell even has some offensive flair himself. 6 points in 5 games this year, 35 and 57 the year prior in the AHL. Another right-handed shot as well, a former second-round pick for a reason, and 16 points in 82 games in the NHL. So, yeah, I don't mind that. I doubt either of them becomes more than top 6 defensemen. But really, as I've mentioned, it's not that they had to give up a lot of value. They're doing Boston a favor here because now with the money being freed up, they are able to go after re-signing Bergeron, Bertuzzi, Orlov, whoever they want to spend that money on. If we refresh here in Boston, I'm sure that we'd be able to see an update here. Their cap space was 4.9. Has it been updated? No, not updated yet for the Bruins. But if we do, let's just do a little thought experiment here. If they have 4.9375, and I go ahead and add 6 million to get to 10.9375, how much does Tyler Bertuzzi want? If he wants maybe say 5.5, and then maybe Dmitry Orlov, you probably have to let him walk. Jeremy Swayman, maybe do a 1-year RFA thing at 3.5, leaves you with about 2 million to try to get a veteran discount contract on your captain. Definitely some people are going to be walking. Hathaway, Nosek, Clifton. I'm sure some people are going to have to walk, unfortunately. But they're able to hold on to more than they would have been able to had they had to hang on to Taylor Hall. So that about does it. Kronos, love the analysis data. Do you think this is the first domino to fall for big trades? Absolutely. I don't think it's going to cause other trades to happen, but I do think this is the first to fall for teams starting to say, all right, let's get ourselves in gear. The draft is a couple of days away. Players are starting to move. I don't want to miss out on my guy. I think that this is going to be starting to have things move. Who do you think is a contender for making the Stanley Cup next season, like the Stanley Cup final? Oof, I got to know more about the offseason first before I say things like that. This trade will be an L for the Bruins if they don't re-sign Tyler Bertuzzi. Yeah, I think that is a major sticking point here. If the Bruins are able to keep Bertuzzi for the top 6, then absolutely. It hurts to move Taylor Hall, who, yes, he's been struggling, but he's very good. But if you get Tyler Bertuzzi to stick on, then no problem. PLD next. Does PLD get moved at the draft? I think that he's definitely get moved at or before the draft. It sounds like it's going to be LA or Montreal. Personally, it's not that I don't want him, but I don't think I don't want the Canadiens to give up as much as it's going to cost to get him. A lot of people saying, oh, no, I don't want Dubois. I don't want him. No, another French player. I don't want him. He's no good. He is going to be lazy. No, he's great. He's fine. I like Pierre-Luc Dubois. It's not that I don't want him. It's that I don't want to give up what he costs and then pay him what he wants. That's why I don't want him. So this deal may awaken the Jets, the Flyers, the Flames, that Kevin Hayes deal that we're still waiting on as well. PLD for Byfield, I don't quite think so. The Taylor Hall, Adam Larson tree extends with this. Very good. That's true. Yes, the tree extends. And do you think the Blackhawks will make more moves like this? 100%. Because the Blackhawks, let's see, they're at 37. Well, actually, their current cap hit is 45.905 plus 6 million. Let's say plus 3 million for Nick Foligno. That gets them to 55 million. The salary cap floor is what, 60 some million? I forgot what it is. They got to get up to the what doesn't say here, eh? They got to get up to that floor. So whether it's taking on bad contracts or just taking on or signing players who for more than they're worth, that's absolutely what the Blackhawks are going to have to do. I wish this would refresh, but if there's nothing left to say, there's nothing left to say. I just wanted to see a bit more details on Taylor Hall getting moved, but no, unfortunately not just yet. Anything left in the Twitter world? Taylor Hall's NHL journey so far: drafted by Edmonton, traded to New Jersey, won the 2018 Hart Trophy, traded to Arizona, signed by Buffalo, traded to Boston, re-signed with Boston, nice extension, then traded to Chicago. I feel for him. Cap Friendly has it here, so I would think that it's about to get updated anytime. 6th time that Hall is on, that the team Hall is on is picking first overall, 7th if you include him going first in 2010. Interesting. For a guy who hasn't really been like a troublemaker or something, this is a lot of movement for Taylor Hall in his career. He's getting up there with Alex Galchenyuk right now. Just waiting for, I would hope that this would go, there we go, nice. So now we see the Bruins with 10.937 million in cap space, but they've only have 6 forwards. They have 7 D signs, so they'd be good to go on defense. They don't necessarily need Dmitry Orlov. I would think that he walks. But forward-wise, they have a lot of spots to fill, and now they have almost 11 million to do it, and they need to get Jeremy Swayman signed up as well. How many more trades will the Blackhawks make to fit under the salary cap? To get inside the salary cap, above the cap floor? I don't know if it has to be trades. I still see them making a lot of moves, but I would see them just overpaying free agents like Athanasiou and Domi last season. So I would think that the majority of that, about 11 million, is going to be spent on the forwards. I would say that it's almost all going to Bertuzzi and hopefully Patrice Bergeron and hopefully David Krejci. I'm sure Bruins fans are hoping. But then maybe if Garnet Hathaway and Tommy Nosek want too much, maybe they walk. You get somebody else in free agency. But just to say, there's a lot of spots to fill. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Hall becomes the second highest paid player on the team, first highest paid forward, and they still have 31.5 million in cap space here and a lot of picks to go with. They have a good little pool of prospects, not the greatest pool, but I do like some of their names that they have signed already. I do like Sorella. I do like Colton Dock. I do like, just looking at some names that catch my eye. Lucas Reichel, wherever he is, here he is. Lucas Reichel, I like him. Kevin Korchinski, of course. Frank Nazar, of course. Just a few names I would throw out there. You think Chicago could sign someone like Tarasenko? I don't think Tarasenko would want to go there. I don't think there's a lot of players like Taylor Hall who would want to go to Chicago. I think the players that go to Chicago are going to be the ones who are, as I said before, the Derek Stepans of the world, who signed $6 million with Arizona, 4 or 5 years ago. I think that's the type of player that Boston's going to get, not necessarily through trades, because I'm sure a lot of players have them on their no trade list, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be players, mid players, Athanasiou, Domi, guys like that, who are going to get their big paydays that maybe they don't even deserve, but they're going to get them by going to these teams. So just again, I wasn't showing the screen. Now we're at almost 11 million for the Bruins. They have only 6 forwards signed on. They have a lot of spots to fill. Defensively, they look good to go. Goalies, they got to sign Swayman. Over on the Blackhawks, though, they have 31.5 million, and they already have a good amount of players signed on. 10 forwards, 4 defense, 1 goalie. You give a backup goalie a contract, a couple of defensemen in the top 4, top 6, a couple more forwards. That's why you gotta basically overpay at this point. Yeah, Stepan was a middle 6 guy back then, and now he'd be getting paid, big money. He was getting paid more than he was worth at that time. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our first breaking news and analysis video, our first breaking news data cast, really. We had the Ryan Johansson one, but this was our first of the bigger trades so far in this offseason. PLD could be going soon. Kevin Hayes could be happening soon. As it happens, we'll be breaking it live here, so make sure that you are subscribed not to miss out on any of that. And you know what? We have our draft coverage coming up soon as well in a couple days' time, and we have more on the channel breaking. We have NHL 23 franchise mode, MLB The Show 23 franchise mode, NHL 23 career simulation. So if you enjoy this, you enjoy hockey, you enjoy sports and franchise, you would enjoy what we have going on the channel. So I would encourage you to check that out. Check out our new episode of our Pittsburgh Penguins franchise mode. Enjoy it, Vinny. Thank you very much. Leafs fan, thanks for being here. Thank you everyone else for enjoying our little afternoon together. Leave a like if you did indeed enjoy it. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon as more trades happen in this offseason. We'll be live in about 48, 50, 55 hours from now when we have the NHL draft on Wednesday. So I look forward to seeing you all then. That'll be a 2-3 hour live stream. Wandin buddy, see you soon. We'll have the draft on Wednesday, free agency on Saturday, MLB Friday night. A lot going on here on the channel. I hope that you'll join us, and I look forward to talking to you all again soon. If you want more breaking news, be sure to join our Discord server where the news is always being broken. Link in the description, and I'll talk to you all soon. Have a great afternoon and enjoy the off season.